Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 7. It's called Expenses. Full spoilers for the episode, as always. Apologies this is so late, first of all. We did not expect to have to wait until today to do this, but that's just how things worked out. We're really backed up right now. We knew this was going to be a tough week, but here we are.
Yeah.
So, expenses. I think this one, it kind of continues the trend from last week, where it feels like things have really calmed down after all the build up and the tension of the trial. And
Yeah, I'm starting to think it won't build up again. It'll be like the end of the season now. It'll be like, oh, stuff's back on now.
probably it feels like we're putting Saul in a place where he's going to break bad. In fact, I
Yeah,
mean,
he's getting desperate, isn't he?
not to get ahead of ourselves, but the next episode, I noticed the title of it
Oh,
is called Slip, and I can't help but wonder who's slipping. It's
yeah,
probably
yeah.
him. I
It
can't imagine it's
probably
anyone
is.
else. I mean, don't get me wrong, I will laugh. I will laugh if the episode just opens with some random character slipping on a banana.
And he's like, hey, screw you. You thought you knew what this was going to be about.
Like that would amuse me, but I feel like we're on the path to him failing now. Like really, because everything in this episode was how hard it is now that he has to deal with the consequences of something he did that was wrong. He was in the wrong with what he did to help Kim, as much as it thematically and from our perspective, caring about these characters over Chuck, it made sense to us. He's dealing with the consequences, and this episode is the constant pouring on of no. Here's all the things that are happening now because you made that mistake.
That's it. Like, over the last couple of weeks, we've said, oh, so maybe this event wasn't what, made him break bad, as we expected it might be. But I'm starting to think maybe it is just
Just
not in
not.
the way we expected. It's more he'll break because of the desperation of the situation that it's caused.
It's more of a drawn out like process than it was, because we were kind of expecting one big thing to make him immediately have to like change his name and run off and like
Yeah,
something big and like that. But whereas here it feels like it's going to be a slow build of which makes sense because that's kind of what the show is really good at as well. So
yeah, definitely.
I can't complain in that sense. I really liked the opening shot. The opening scene was Saul on his community service.
Yes.
And the opening shot was he's waiting against the wall, and then these other people come in, and there's lines on the wall that make it look like a prison lineup, or
Yeah.
well, not so much a prison lineup, but you know what I mean. The
Yeah, yeah,
lineup when the
yeah. It's the lineup when they pull in all the suspects.
yeah, but it's not prison lineup. They're not in prison when they do that. But so I thought that reminded me of that. It also reminded me of the first poster of the season with the paint,
Yeah,
which was in sort of stripes. So I thought visually that was really cool. It was definitely a more downbeat episode. The first scene was ultimately him trying to. He basically only gets 30 minutes of his community service time like accounted for because the guy notices that he's on his phone almost the entire time because he's trying to wrangle his commercial business as he's doing it.
yeah,
And we see throughout the rest of the episode he's desperate to try and sell off the rest of these commercials. He's getting more and more desperate for the money. The first person, he charms. He's like, "Oh, you were very good there," even though he wasn't very good at the sofa place.
yeah,
And but of course it reaches tipping point because we see at the end of that scene that he pays out the rest of the film crew. So you get this, I get this. It makes a point of showing us how much he's left with. He's left with like $104, I think was the amount.
104.90 something, I think it was.
All right, we have to be that specific. But we know how much is in his wallet. Like we see where he is. And we then see him with Kim buying Chinese food. And be like, no,
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
on me.
That transition's one of my favorites because he goes, "Ah, you want to talk about expenses?" And then it cuts to Kim right in the list of the office expenses.
Yeah, and you tell that he's putting on this front because she's like, oh, you're not emptying your bank account to pay the bills, are you? He's like, of course not.
Mm.
And it's like, I don't believe you for a second. I don't think Kim believes you for a second, to be honest.
Yeah,
I
she
think she knows
knows.
deep down. But you see that, but then they have this other job where they think they've got this job with these guitar shop owners or the music shop owners, and they basically change their mind at the last minute. And
This is why you
Saul,
make contracts.
yeah, because Saul's working in a legit business here where he's got all this stuff out.
Look, I'm just saying he's a lawyer. He should be thinking contracts. Let's get him locked in.
Ah, but he's desperate.
He is,
And he
but
needs to get it
he's
done
not
so
stupid.
quickly. But he needs to get it done so quickly. I get why that's not even a consideration. You see it in this scene. As soon as they try to back off, he offers more of a discount, and then he
Oh, I
eventually
know.
offers it for free. Oh, I mean, you see the business pick up. You then you calls back, and you have to take the other seven. Like,
Yeah.
he's desperate. His crew sees desperate to the point that he pays the rest of the crew for the day out of the money he's got left. That leaves him with next to nothing. The makeup girl sees this and tries to give him it back because she feels sorry for him, which I think is probably the lowest Saul gets in this episode. I think that's like the pity of this person he barely knows. I think stings him. I think it stings him because one of the things, of course, that he's trying to do all episode is he's trying to call the insurance place that sort of covers him for his lawyering. What was it malpractice law insurance?
Yeah.
And he goes in, and you know this is a futile attempt. You don't get a refund for insurance just because you don't happen to be doing the thing anymore. If you pay for a year of car insurance, oh, I'm not driving anymore. Can I have my money back, please?
I do know some places do that if you take your car off the road
Oh,
entirely.
do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to work with this though.
No, I didn't either. Because ultimately that would be too easy.
It would be too easy. And I also think, at least with a car though, it's understood that people get into accidents. People, for some, like it's common enough to
Yeah,
they
whereas
have to
this
go
was
without a
something
car.
that was kind of his fault, which is why they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's also again it's just a lot more rare. Very, it's not. I imagine it's not that common that a lawyer is suspended for 12 months. It shouldn't be.
You'd hope not.
But people for some reason having to go without their car for a while is a relative. It's understandable. It happens. It makes sense that circumstances just dictate that. A lawyer saying, "Oh, I'm not going to be practicing suddenly," even though it's been my career for 12 months. Like, there's very few specific sort of circumstances that would lead to that.
That is true.
And if it was a life choice, if it was a choice of, oh, I want to do something else with my life, it would be the sort of thing you probably build up to and would know when your insurance is running out, and maybe that would be like a factor in when you decide to.
And also, if you've actively made the choice, then you that's not a good enough reason to get you out of a contract.
Yeah, I suppose also most insurance that most people pay tends to be monthly, which is why it's less of a factor because you wouldn't go in and say, oh, I've got 2 weeks left. Can I have a 2 weeks money back?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even try asking because you know.
I mean,
pointless.
the scenario at that point, I guess, would be: are you locked in for a set amount of months? You can't cancel the contract.
Yeah.
So it would still be as bad, if not worse, actually. Because here he's just trying to get money back, whereas in that scenario he'd still have to pay it out of this
that's
non-existent money.
That's true. But obviously this is the thing where he's paid up for a year. He's paid, and who knows how much this costs. I could probably look it up, but this is, you get the idea that. And so not only is he told that he can't get the money in this scene at the end, he's then told that because of this suspension, you are now seen as more of a risk. And that makes sense if you're someone who in a car, if you have a lot of accidents, you're seen. Oh wait, you're a risky proposition. You're paying more.
It's the same for any sort of insurance, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's told that it's going to go up. She's like, "Oh, let me look," and she there's that great thing Saul does at the show where it'll make you wait for the answers. He has to wait for it, so you feel this awkward silence.
Kind of that fidgeting for a moment.
And she's like, "Oh, about 100 to 150%," and you can just see him break. And this is where I think there's a bit of debate here for the final scene. Is the break genuine, and then he turns it into something where he gets to feel powerful because he makes a vindictive move against his brother, or is the whole thing an act from the start?
Whole thing's an act. He's like, okay, this isn't working. It's he knows he can't do anything, so he gets desperate and tries the tears, thinking, oh, maybe she'll do something. And when it's clear that's not working, he's like, screw it, I'm taking him down with me.
So then it's an act the whole time, but it's an act for a different reason, and then it flips into being
Yeah. I
vindictive
think
towards his brother.
he's just trying to get a sympathy plea and go, like, maybe I can let him off this time, sort of thing.
I can see that. I think part of me wants to believe that at least a little bit of it was genuine, because he goes through so much of this throughout the episode, and we see him breaking. We see him sitting there, and the makeup girl tries to give him money back. Part of me wants to believe that there was a part of him that just broke.
I think it's obviously it's all from a place of his mindset's there anyway. That's why it's so believable because he's just channeling his actual emotions. But I still think it's controlled.
I mean, it's in character for him to be to control, which is why I think there's a debate here. I think there's enough good reason getting into this scene to believe that he may actually be breaking down. But
No,
of course,
no, I agree. It's when he walks out and he's
of course,
just snaps back to normal. Well, not normal, but
yeah, completely. Whether it starts or not, the final part of that where he brings up the stuff about Chuck, knowing that's going to get Chuck into trouble, knowing that this is going to
drive up his insurance a ton.
This is just vindictive at this point, and this is a thing where, like, throughout the episode, we see Kim is feeling a bit guilty about how they handled with Chuck. Because it was kind of like we talked about last time, and we heard when Rebecca said he's mentally ill. What sure it's because we said how that kind of flips it. Maybe like
yeah. It's when obviously that Mesa Verde woman's talking to her, and saying all these things like, "Oh, that was amazing." And it's like, yeah, that's how most of the fans, of the show felt in the moment as well. It's like, yeah, this is amazing. He's finally getting taken down.
And that's the writing's so good here that later on when like Saul and Kim go to the bar and they're sort of like they're casing potential victims to be conned, even though they're not really going to do it. At least Kim doesn't believe they're really going to do it. Saul, you kind of think he probably does want to do it.
Yeah, when he's talking about that selling that credit card, it's like, oh, he would do this. If Kim agreed, that's it. He'd do this in a second.
Yeah, but what's so good about it is, I think we completely understand where Kim's coming from with this guilt. We understand that. We get why she feels bad about it, but at the same time, we get why Saul writes it off immediately and says, "No, never caring about him again." You completely
we get why he's still vindictive in this final scene.
Well, we get why he's vindictive, but I think there's a difference between this scene, the scene in the bar, and then the scene at the end. I think the scene in the bar, I respect his position. I'm like, no, I understand why you want nothing to do with them. I understand why you don't want to feel guilty about this. You want to get on with your life, and I don't blame him for any of it. The scene at the end, I think he crossed the line.
Oh, sure. I just mean, I meant I can understand why his mind's in that place. I get where he's coming from. Well, I get why he's saying these things.
But at the end, he does something wrong. Like, at this point, absolutely. He knows his brother's mentally ill. He knows that this has all come out now. Chuck, we didn't even see Chuck in this episode. Who knows? I mean, we seen him the last episode. He ended up in the street trying to phone his doctor. Who knows where he is this episode?
Yeah.
And like, he crossed the line at the end of the episode. This is the start of. This feels like the proper. This episode, to just put it bold and clear in the metaphor bank, this is him just going over the peak. This is him. He got to the top. He felt like a king for winning that trial. This is him starting his descent on the other side.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think he crossed the line. I think this was where he was not entirely sympathetic. Because when he walked out of that office and he gave a little smile.
It wasn't even a full smile, though. He was kind of angry still. Like, it wasn't that he was pleased with himself. He was just that angry at Chuck. Because I think that's the thing here now. He's going, I wouldn't be in this situation if not for Chuck.
That is true, but it's still his fault. That's the thing.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why he chose to go after Chuck there and then, because like you say, he doesn't have to. He's won, but he's feeling like he wants to blame him still. He's like, no, this is his fault. That not only did I lose my practice for a year, but he'd kind of accepted that at the time. But it's his fault now that he can't get any money. His fault that he's this desperate, and that's why he was like, I want to pay. I want to hit back at him, and this is the only way he can do it at the minute.
And this is the first time he feels like he's acting like Chuck. He's being vindictive the way Chuck was being vindictive.
Yeah.
And that's why it's crossed the line. That's why I think there's a moment in Breaking Bad for a lot of people, and everyone probably thinks it's a different point. Like, everyone has their own opinion as to when this point is, but there's a moment in Breaking Bad where Walter White flips and isn't sympathetic anymore. I think there's a long time in that show where you're still kind of rooting for him, and then there's a point where, again, it's different for everyone, where you go, no, he's kind of the villain. And I feel
Speak for yourself.
Well, you're a dick, so maybe it's different for you. But I think, and I'm not saying everyone's going to hate Saul now who's watching. I'm just meaning, but I think there's a point here where it's like, okay, I can't quite root for what he's doing now.
Well, that's the point ultimately, isn't it? Saul as we know him in Breaking Bad, he's not a good guy. I mean,
He's likable because he's
he's
personable.
likable, yeah,
Yeah.
but he's definitely immoral, to put it nicely. But
Yeah.
Jimmy, on the other hand, is a good guy. So it's like, okay, we like him now, but there has to be this point where he turns and goes and becomes this immoral person that we see.
I really think it's going to end with us feeling really sympathetic for Chuck and for, and again, like I said last time, I think Chuck's going to feel like he's flipped places with him at the end of the show, and he's going to pity Saul, and it's going to be heartbreaking, and it's going to make
Absolutely.
sense. I can see it. I can see it just forming. Probably not
Yeah.
2 seasons. I imagine. I imagine we'll get 5 seasons with this, but that's just what I can see. Uh, I guess we should mention some of the other scenes with Kim. Kim like taking a 5 minute nap in the car and
In there.
snapping at. What's her name? Paige, I think her name is. If I
Sounds
remember
about
correctly.
right. I just
Paige,
refer to
yeah.
as the Mesa Verde woman, but yeah,
You should really remember the name Paige. It's actually kind of shocking you don't.
it's because they haven't said it in a long time. I don't think.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, her kind of snapping with her about her questioning numbers, and part of it's like, oh, are we actually going to go down the road of Kim's actually like messing up? Like, is that where we're going with this? But certainly the point of the scene right now feels like no, this is the guilt eating at her.
Yeah, the guilt and just the stress, because obviously that 5 minute nap is that's all the sleep she's getting at the minute.
Yeah, yeah, I can sympathise with that. I've never had to do 5 minutes, admittedly, but I
Oh, have you not?
never 5 minutes. I've never felt the worth of getting a 5 minute nap. But
It helps.
I have often done a 30 minute kind of like, and that feels quite pathetic when you know you have to wake up again in 30 minutes, but you're so tired that you just want to get the 30 minutes in because you
I think I have to either do a couple of hours or 20 minutes. If I go over 20 minutes, that's it, I'm screwed. I feel worse after like 30 minutes. I do 20, but until I get to like 2 hours, then.
I wonder when the other line is though, because obviously there's a point where you've slept long enough that it's a good sleep, and you feel rejuvenated at the end of it. But you're right, there is like a couple of hour nap limit where you feel like absolute shit when you wake up.
Yeah.
Well, that's assuming that you were tired before. Obviously, if you just doze off in the afternoon, it tends not to be that bad.
Yeah, you still feel pretty good because
But
you're like, oh, it's a nice, sunny afternoon. Oh,
it's an old
okay.
man nap. You wake up and
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah. You're
it's
falling
good."
asleep on your sofa.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's nice and warm. It's sunny. They're typically the days that you have those afternoon
That
naps.
said, though, I've never had to take a nap because it's been that stressful. Typically, I put myself in the situation where I've not been getting much sleep because I'm stupid and annoying like that.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yeah. You're pretty guilty of that as well. Let's be honest.
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah.
So shut up. um,
I was having my moment, but you ruined it.
yeah.
See,
Well.
stupid and annoying.
Night. It's the burden of being a night owl, and sometimes I just can't get to sleep, and then I have legitimately went to work on occasions with like no sleep, and then I'd do a split shift, and I'd have like 2 hours in the middle, and it's like nope, let's find a comfy spot in the work,
Oh yeah,
go
yeah.
for a nap. Cleaning
As you
lady,
do.
cleaning lady could have ripped me off anytime she wanted to, but no, that's fine. So okay, that's all. Any other scenes you want to mention?
Yeah, all the Mike Nacho
Oh
side
yeah,
of
Mike
things because
Nacho.
there's half an episode we haven't touched
I was
yet.
focusing on Saul, alright. I was
Yeah, yeah.
focused. I was pinpointed. Yeah, no, Mike, Mike and Nacho. So obviously Nacho goes to Price, who we've not seen in a while.
I'm glad you remember his name because I don't.
Very good. But he of course, if you don't remember who Price was, he was the chemist, the pharmacist who was getting pills for Nacho and his crew way back when, and Mike was his bodyguard for a little bit on a sort of job by job basis. And Nacho shows up in his house. He's like, I need these pills, but I need them empty. I need these casings with these markings. But so obviously we know he's going to put something else in it and try and kill
Oh
him.
no! I disagree with that entirely. I think he just leaves them empty because then the medication isn't doing anything.
They'd have to put something in them so they weigh properly. They not?
I doubt it. Pills don't weigh that much anyway. There's barely anything in them. The capsule is probably most of the weight.
I still think he puts. I mean, you could be right, but I
If
still
he
think.
does, it'll be just like sugar or something. I don't think there'll
Okay,
be
sure.
anything, and no active ingredient. I think the point of it is just he's not taking his heart medication anymore, so that's
It
it.
just lets him die. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I can. I can sit with that. I still think there's a chance he put something in it though. I don't think it's clear cut. I think he could put something in
Eh,
it.
maybe we'll see.
He could put in.
I think the problem is if he puts something in it, it's more suspicious. Whereas
That's
if
true.
they're just empty, he dies. It's a heart attack, whatever else it could be. It's so natural that okay, that's it. They don't look into it too much. Whereas if there's something in it and something, if they see in his report,
I said it so quickly. I really did not think you'd pick apart that. I was literally just trying to get to the interesting part of the scene, and you.
I know. I just don't want to be wrong on camera.
I don't care if I'm wrong. We could be wrong all the time. It's
We could
fine.
be, but this one I'm pretty confident on. So I'm gonna be so wrong now. I've said that.
I hope you are. It'll just make it
Uh,
look.
I kind of do as well,
It's
just,
gonna.
just for the comedy of it.
All right. So Price goes to Mike and he's like, Mike, I need you to bodyguard me one more time. Nacho showed up. Blah 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 blah. Explains the details. Mike refuses initially. And we see him do he's building his playground, and there's that great scene where like three other people come up to try and help, and he refuses it because he's so used to doing things on his own and being such a lone wolf and
Yeah.
like just being very tactical and doing things by himself that he kind of refuses. But they talk him into it. They basically demand to help. So he delegates a couple of things, and he starts talking to Anita, who's one of the women at the support group, and they bond a little bit. They kind of he shows her how to do the sort of the pattern in the pavement for the
While
kids.
she thinks he's sexist as hell.
Yes, yes. Then he very quickly explains what he meant. No,
Yeah, but just when he passes her that broom, and she's like, "What the hell is this?"
it's the next part of the process. He's not being. He's Mike. I don't.
Exactly. We know that he'd be not that.
Yeah. But he gets to talking to her about her husband and how he died, and it's this story where he just went out for a hike one day and he never came back. They found his car. She never found out if he had a heart attack, if he tripped and fell somewhere and snapped his neck, if someone did something to him. And it's after this conversation where Mike goes out and agrees to do the job.
Yeah.
What did you make of that? What do you think spurs them on in that conversation? What about that story about the husband and not knowing what happened to him? What do you think caused them to make
I
this choice?
assume it's the idea that he goes, maybe Price is someone that cares about him as well. And if something does go wrong, he knows Nacho will kill him if he has to. He knows what Nacho's willing to do if it comes to it.
Interesting.
And
I did not read it that way.
Okay.
I read it as Salamanca. I read it as Mike not wanting to not know how he goes.
Okay.
And admittedly, I know that he doesn't know exactly what the job was at the time, but I think he had suspicions because Nacho did this, and he did it because he knew Nacho broke into his house, he was on his own, and he knew what he asked for.
Yeah.
And he knew, obviously he confirmed it with Nacho in the last scene, but he knew that he wanted the heart medication. So he was putting things together, because he's Mike, he's a smart guy. I think the idea that he doesn't know why he goes upset him. And I admit that's a bit more darker than just, wanting to protect Price, but I don't feel like he...
I know, but this thing, I don't think he was protecting Price. I think he was protecting Price's mother, someone like that. Because we know Mike's got a soft spot for the innocents.
Oh, sure, no, he does. But I feel like we've never seen anyone we've never seen Price with another person, so it's harder to latch onto that, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like the idea of him not knowing, especially since, and Joe, I would really liked about this scene, it's really bittersweet because we know, if Breaking Bad, Mike's end is kind of like this, like where he goes out somewhere and his car's left there, and
Yep.
I mean I can't remember if they actually leave his car out there, but whether they do or don't, the idea that he just goes out somewhere and never comes back, and
and obviously his granddaughter never knows.
yeah, his granddaughter and Stacey never find out. So like there's this weird foreshadowing thing to this, which and we know Mike's into all this shady shit by the time he goes. So it's not like it's not
entirely undeserved, is it?
Yeah, I mean, even if you think it's not deserved, I mean, it probably is. But even if you don't think it's deserved, at least it doesn't. It's not a surprise if you're living in this life with this kind of shady people.
Yeah, I think he at that point he was well aware of the risks and he had long accepted them.
Yeah, yeah, he'd went down this path. So
Mike is a very measured individual. He's willing to, he puts the risk against the reward, and he came to the decision that it was worth it.
yeah, so he warns Nacho of the risks, and he like sort of says you need to switch them back because if they go looking for the heart medication, then it needs to be back to what it was, so there's nothing suspicious.
Yeah,
But obviously, a key plot point is that Mike says, "Okay, before we make this deal, I need something else from you," and he pulls out a pad. Now, I think the obvious assumption here is that he's going to try and find out what happened to Anita's husband, just in case any the criminal underworld know about it. Like
yeah.
if he was killed by someone, like maybe someone will know, but I don't know for sure. That's just sort of a simple guess at this point.
It's assuming he was killed as well, because by the sounds of it, there was no body. So
Yeah, but maybe that's why it's more suspicious. Like if they'd killed him, they probably dumped the body somewhere where they could, where it wouldn't pop up.
yeah, yeah. But obviously, we know he was in the Navy. Maybe his skills were useful to them, so they've kind of got him blackmailed. You never know.
Oh yeah, he could. Maybe he's not dead. Yeah, that's a good point. I
Yeah,
never even thought of that. But yeah, but either way, I think that's maybe what he's trying to do. He's trying to find him. And maybe that's another reason why he agreed to this job. Maybe it's not even about any of what we said. Maybe it's just a pure. He's seen an avenue. He's seen like I can use this as a way of maybe finding out some information.
yeah. That's very Mike as well.
It is very Mike, and that's more noble actually. I mean, my suggestion is probably the darkest. It feels the most. You
Yeah,
know,
this one's more in line with the intentions of mine, at least.
yeah.
Like the idea of he's just looking out for someone innocent.
It makes more sense to me that he's looking out for Anita than it is Price. I don't think.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
if that's what this answers that he's looking for is.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if admittedly, obviously he doesn't want anything bad to happen to Price because he even tries to tell him to no, tell him you can't do it. Don't get involved. You're not part of that world. You suck at it. Stop it.
Yeah.
You're going to end up dead, and he probably is going to end up dead by the end of the show. We're going to see
I
him.
mean, the final shot is just him dead.
It's going to be him nailed to that stupid car that he bought, that big yellow thing.
Yeah.
God damn it. But all right. Have I missed any more subplots?
No, I think you got it now.
Right, we're good. Okay, awesome. That's Better Call Saul, episode 7. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Helps us out a lot. Get us on Twitter at mail_fudge for channel updates. Individual Twitters are on the screen. Of course, you can support the channel by heading over to patreon.com/mailfudgetv. Check out some of the bonuses over there if you want to support us. But otherwise, guys, thank you very much for watching. We always appreciate it. And yeah, have you got any vanilla?